नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल, वणक्कम। आप सभी का ऑल्टरनेट मीडिया में फिर से स्वागत है। हमारे साथ है पंडित सतीश कुमार सर। सर को किसी इंट्रोडक्शन की जरूरत नहीं है। इज अ बिग सोशल मीडिया सेलिब्रिटी। थैंक यू सर कमिंग ऑन माय चैनल अगेन।
It's a pleasure to be here, Gayatri ji. I don't know about a social media celebrity, but I think that's only because I'm saying things that our community generally don't say. We're quite quiet, aren't we? We're generally quite nice, and we don't really take a leadership position. So it's about time we did. And so I'm hoping to push that boundary so that our next generation can lead. And they're doing brilliant work. So, like yourself, thank you very much for having me on your show.
थैंक यू सर। सर, हमें क्यों खुश होना चाहिए कि ऋषि सोनक हार गए इलेक्शंस?
आई थिंक हारे तो नहीं है। देखो, लिज ट्रस की तो जीत हो गई, ठीक है, मान लिया, लेकिन ऋषि सुनक की हार नहीं हुई। मुझे लग रहा कि कुछ महीनों के बाद, वैसे जल्दी हो जाएगा, सभी के सामने जो मुसीबतें हैं, जो प्रॉब्लम्स है यहाँ यूके में ना, वो सभी के सामने दोबारा आने वाली हैं। ये इलेक्शन का जो ड्रामा था, ये नाटक, ये एक सर्कस जो था, इसने सभी को डिस्ट्रैक्ट कर लिया। लेकिन अक्टूबर का महीना सामने है, और अक्टूबर में सभी की इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल्स, गैस बिल्स, सब कुछ 200-300% इंक्रीज होने वाली है। सो अगर इस नज़र से देखा जाए तो आई थिंक ऋषि के लिए अच्छा होगा। एक तो उसने इलेक्शन में ना कैंपेनिंग जो बड़ी ज़बरदस्त की, हर जगह गया, पूरे मन तन सब कुछ लगा के उसने कैंपेनिंग की। और पहले अगर कोई उसको जानता नहीं था, तो अभी तो सभी जानते हैं, पूरे देश में सभी जानते हैं। और लास्ट जो बात है वो है कि कंजर्वेटिव पार्टी में 60,000 वोट्स उसको मिले, और लिज ट्रस को सिर्फ 81,000 मिले। सो डिफरेंशियल इतना नहीं है, नॉट टू मच। और इसका ये मतलब है कि कंजर्वेटिव वोटिंग कम्युनिटी जो है, जो मेंबरशिप है पार्टी की, उन्होंने ऋषि की हिंदूनेस को नहीं देखा, उसका रंग नहीं देखा, उसने उसकी एबिलिटी देखी। और सभी ने यही सोचा कि एक्चुअली 61,000 मेंबर्स ने सोचा कि ऋषि इज टेक्निकली very capable, and so he has a wonderful endorsement. This is ideal for the future. I think 1-2 साल के अंदर ना ये जो
I agree with you
मुसीबत है।
that, but why do you say that his loss is actually a victory? मतलब अगर मैं उसको आप जो पॉइंट्स बोल रहे हैं बिल्कुल ठीक है, बट उनका हारना हमारे लिए खुशी क्यों है?
खुशी की तो बात ये बच्चों की बातें हैं ना। ये इलेक्शंस जो है, they're very serious things, and we shouldn't be tribal, we shouldn't be shallow in our political understanding. And ये क्रिकेट का मैच नहीं है कि हमारी टीम जीत गई तो सब कुछ बल्ले बल्ले हो जाए। ये अभी जो समय आने वाला है ना, उसमें बहुत ही, आई थिंक सभी को बहुत ही मुश्किलें आने वाली हैं। एंड जो इन्होंने किया था कोविड के लॉकडाउन में, और ये जो हमारे 2 साल 3 साल हुए इकोनॉमी का जो हाल हुआ है, उसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी भी शायद ऋषि के सामने आने वाली थी। वो पीछे हट गया, अच्छा किया। एक तो उसने अपना नाम हर जगह एस्टैब्लिश कर लिया, उसकी कबीलत वो भी एस्टैब्लिश हो गई। इनफैक्ट सभी ने ये कहा कि जब भी उस कोई हस्टिंग्स थी, जब भी कोई डिबेट थी, टेलीविजन कैमरास के सामने, जर्नलिस्ट के सामने, और पॉलिटिकल डिबेट्स जो है जनरली पब्लिक के सामने, हमेशा ऋषि वाज बेटर, ऋषि डिड मच बेटर। और आई थिंक दिस इज द बेस्ट सॉल्यूशन फॉर हिम। He has got an opportunity now to rest, to step back a little bit, and let this poison chalice move from his hands to Liz Truss's hands. So ऋषि के लिए long term I think अच्छा होगा। I think वैसे हमारी community के लिए भी अच्छा होगा। देख, अगर उसकी जीत होती तो भारत और यूके का जो संबंध है, उसमें potentially एक conflict of interest नजर आती। और कुछ बातें हैं, कुछ relationships हैं जिसमें ये conflict नहीं होनी चाहिए। एक तो नहीं होनी चाहिए, लेकिन
सॉरी आई एम इंटरवीनिंग। कॉन्फ्लिक्ट किस हिसाब से? लाइक व्हाट काइंड ऑफ कॉन्फ्लिक्ट?
सो फॉर एग्जांपल ये जो यूक्रेन की प्रॉब्लम है, ठीक है ना, लिज ट्रस वेरी स्ट्रांग, she went and met with Jaishankar ji, with Prime Minister Modi ji, and put forward a very British role. अगर ऋषि होता और बीजेपी गवर्नमेंट मना करती, जैसे उन्होंने किया कि सॉरी हम तो नहीं लड़ाई में शामिल होंगे, ये आपकी लड़ाई है, आप ही लड़ो, तो अगर ये होता तो यहाँ तो यूके में डेफिनेटली लेबर पार्टी जो ऑपोजिशन है सभी ने यही कह रहा था कि ये तो वैसे ही इंडियन हाफ इंडियन है 75% इंडियन है इसका मन इसका दिल जो है इज कन्फ्लिक्टेड एंड सो ये कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट की जो बात है इज वेरी सीरियस दूसरी बात ये भी थी कि इसके पास ना वो जो ग्रीन कार्ड की हिस्ट्री थी ना आई थिंक वो इसके लिए बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम होती है ग्रीन कार्ड की जो टर्म्स है जो ओथ ग्रीन कार्ड के समय में लेते हैं जो सिग्नेचर आप देते हैं तो इट्स वेरी अमेरिका सेंट्रिक की लॉयल्टी इज टू अमेरिका एंड ये भी बात उसके लिए आई थिंक प्रॉब्लम होगी पर ये सब कुछ जो भी बैड न्यूज़ थी ना वो सब कुछ निकल गया शुद्ध हो गया जो शुद्धि होनी थी वो हो गई नेक्स्ट टाइम राउंड ये ऐसा कुछ नहीं होगा सो आई थिंक इट्स अर्ली डेज ही इज अ यंग मैन एंड ही हैज लॉट्स ऑफ पोटेंशियल द लास्ट थिंग इज गुड फॉर हु ऋषि के लिए तो मैंने कह दिया मेरे मन में है कि हाँ ऋषि के लिए अच्छा होगा यूके के लिए पोटेंशियली अ प्रॉब्लम इसी ये लिज ट्रस जो है ना मुझे तो जो बाइडन याद आता है जब मैं इसको देखता हूँ इसकी बातें सुनता हूँ जो जब ये डिबेट करती है ऐसे लग रहा है कि किसके पीछे ना कोई इसको कुछ बताए तो ठीक है कोई स्पीच लिख के दे तो ठीक है लेकिन जो ऑन द स्पॉट चैलेंजिंग कॉन्फ्रंटेशनल एक्सचेंज उसमें शी इज़ वेरी वीक बिल्कुल जो बाइडन जैसी एंड जो बाइडन तो हम सभी देख रहे हैं कि जो बाइडन इज़ द एस्टैब्लिशमेंट द हिडन डीप स्टेट चॉइस ना सभी के सामने उसको लटकाया है और पीछे जो ये करते हैं वो तो करते ही रहेंगे मन में यही फिक्र है कि लिज ट्रस वैसे ना is a Joe Biden, I think, is a Joe Biden character. And that's not good for the nation.
जी.
Is it good for British Hindus? We shall see. We shall see.
जी. So there's one last question that I want to ask.
Okay.
What about the Pakistanis and the Muslims जब ऋषि सुनक contest कर रहे थे? What was their reaction?
It was actually very muted. You know, we must understand that the Pakistani and the Muslim community have a very coordinated and effective means of engaging in media and public relations. And they were silent. There was no anti-Rishi rhetoric about him being Islamophobic. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं था, बिल्कुल silent थे. In fact, it was noticeable. It was so absent. And I think that was a very wise decision on their behalf. Whoever is coordinating them presses the button and they become very, very active and engaged. And Zubair and all of these people, we have had similar instances here in the UK last night and the night before. And so they're strategically very competent. We have a little bit of a difficulty arising at the moment. We'll see how it will develop. But Liz Truss, I don't think, is strong enough either. Priti Patel is actually more relevant to this conversation because Priti Patel was very strong. She was very hard and saying, this is the law. It doesn't matter who you are. If you break the law, you're a criminal. So she was very good in that regard. And she had a lot of complaints from people that she was Islamophobic, etc. But she just stood her ground. Liz Truss, I don't think, is quite so strong. In fact, it's a thought has just occurred to me. It's worth noticing. When Tony Blair was in charge of the country and he led Labour to a number of victories, afterwards people commented that Tony Blair was actually a conservative pretending to be a Labour leader. I think in years to come, people will say that Liz Truss was actually a socialist pretending to be a conservative leader. And so there is a big, big issue there. Let's see how that develops.
Gee. Because this is very interesting. That 20,000 vote, I was having a discussion with another guest. He said this 20,000 vote is actually of the people we spoke of, and definitely some supremacist kind of people who do not or who cannot see an Indian sitting on the top. So this 20,000 vote is basically a difference of that only.
You know, there is
And
certainly
maybe some Labour people.
Hanji, there is certainly an element who are still old-fashioned colonialist supremacists. Both have British identity is built on that. English identity is actually very good. Scottish identity, good solid people. Welsh identity, good solid people. Irish, they're like the Punjabis. Okay, good people. But the British identity is the potential problem. That's where the colonialist supremacist, Christianist nationalism comes in. But I take a lot more courage and good heart from the fact that 61,000 members supported him. You know, it's also to be recognized that Rishi's his constituency is a extremely white, extremely traditional constituency. The majority of people are farmers or they have a military service background, so they are very British and English, and they have supported him wholeheartedly. They saw past those identity markers and ethnicity markers. They appreciated that he was very, very capable and competent. And जो देखो जो आज नहीं appreciate हुआ ना, कल हो जाएगा, परसों हो जाएगा. There is undoubtedly a shift in the groundswell of people in the country who look beyond it. And this is shall we say it's a resurgence. When Gandhiji came to the United Kingdom, and this is pre-partition, he spent time in Newark. He spent time with working class families who were working in textile mills. And there was no supremacist attitude. There was no racism. And so I think the people on the ground are actually good, solid people who are supporting, irrespective of ethnicity. It's just this British establishment identity which focuses around London, and they're taking a little bit more convincing. So I don't see that as a problem, and I'd be very interested to see the data which has been produced to support that. I suspect it's anecdotal yet, as opposed to substantiated.
जी. So I mean, we will take it with this thought that it's a blessing in disguise for Rishi Sunak that he has not won this time, because these are poisonous times, as you say, and this is a very tough time. In fact, अगर वो इस वक्त वो elect हो जाते तो उनके लिए problems और बढ़ जाती, because the Indian brown skin, rich, and then the burden of economy, then with all these things which are going around in UK, it would have become like a very Herculean task for him to take the
Gayatri,
country.
I think you've probably identified the biggest factor in Rishi not winning. There is a polarization happening here in the United Kingdom, and it's very large. The polarization is between the wealthy and the poor. And that polarization, the gap in between the two has never been as great as it is now. If you go to West London, to Kensington and the fashionable parts, you will see more Rolls Royces, Bentleys and Ferraris than you have ever seen before. And if you go to the working class areas, there are food banks more than there have ever been before. And I think if I was asked to choose one factor, I would say it's that Rishi is associated with the wealth and the wealthy sectors, the hedge fund managers, the city slickers, and so on and so forth. And he's associated with them. So the fear was that he won't associate and resonate with working class people. He won't feel their pain. And I think that is probably more likely to have been behind people not supporting him as much as Liz, rather than anything to do with ethnicity.
So with all the wishes that he wishes and that he wins in the next round of elections, because it's not too far, I'm sure Liz is not going to manage very far from, she's become PM today, I think. Yeah. She's been announced as the PM of UK now. Let's wait and watch how far it goes with her kind of talent and
Yes, I
credibility.
mean, she has won the battle, but surviving the peace might prove to be a lot harder. And this is politics, and Westminster politics is, many speakers have said, is the most vicious. So although she has got the seat, I suspect it will become a very hot seat very, very quickly. And best of luck to her. The country does need stability and genuine leadership. So let's see.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining. And जाने से पहले सभी व्यूअर्स से रिक्वेस्ट है, प्लीज डोंट फॉरगेट टू लाइक, सब्सक्राइब एंड शेयर। और इसी के साथ जय हिंद, जय श्री राम, हर हर महादेव।
Jai Shri Ram, Gayatri, and I would just reinforce what you have said. So many of our Hindus, they say to me, Satish, hum kya kare? What can we do? What can we do? And I always say, have you opened a Twitter account? Have you logged in and opened a YouTube account? Because agar aur kuch nahi, kam se kam na, sabhi ko support kijiye. And people who are doing the work that you're doing, I would really recommend people to support you. It's important work. Thank you very much, Gayatri ji. Jai Shri
Thank
Ram.
you so much. Jai Shri Ram.